Welcome to the European Parliament and welcome to a roundtable discussion on animal welfare as we do it every month when the session here in Strasbourg is taking place. Don't forget that Strasbourg is the home city of the European Parliament, so it's natural that such an event is going to take place in Strasbourg. Well, it's not only human rights which are maintained here in Strasbourg, it's also the animals' rights. There has been an election today at the meeting of the Intergroup for Animal Welfare. It's an intergroup consisting of members of the European Parliament, regardless from which country, regardless from which political party. They are all members because they have one thing in common, the interest of animal welfare. The first one I want to welcome here is the new president of the Intergroup. You come from Poland, and Polish people are well known for having absolutely impossible surnames to pronounce. Could you please pronounce your surname yourself?
Thank you. My name is Janusz Wojciechowski. It's always difficult to pronounce for the outside Poland, for everybody outside Poland. As I was elected as a chairman of the Animal Welfare Intergroup.
Congratulations to that election.
Thank you for the congratulations, and this is a great honor for me. There is a lot of parliamentarians in European Parliament who are really interested about the animal welfare issues, who are really interested to improve the treatment of animals in European Union. And the Intergroup is good form to organize these parliamentarians and to work together for better situation of animals.
What do you want to achieve as president of the Intergroup?
I hope that during this term of the Parliament, thanks our together work in the Intergroup and our transfer our ideas to the other committees, for example to the Committee of Agriculture. I'm vice chairman of this committee. It's very important to link things to two bodies, and I hope that we will achieve progress in the situation of the farm animals, like for example the transport of animals. The idea 8 hours transport, to limit the transport of animals for slaughter to 8 hours is very important. Over 1 million people signed the declaration about that, European citizens. Parliament accepted in last term this idea politically, but there is no legislation about that. And now that our job is to do next step and to initiate the legislation and to introduce the legislation about that. This is one question, farm animals. The second, very important for me, is to find a solution, to find a good solution for the problem of stray animals, stray dogs, stray cats. We had a horrible situation in some countries. Last time in Romania, it is a very known example in the world, but it is in Europe, but it is only this country. There are some problems in other countries too. And we have to find a possibility to help for the people who want to protect these animals. Now we are no instruments, because it is the stray animals that are treated as a problem only on the local level.
We will come back to the possibilities of having a real impact to the development by the EU. I'll come back to you.
Yes.
To my right, not to discriminate, you are not from Poland, your surname is easier. Who are you?
My name is Reineke. Amreæleers, pleased to be here and to congratulate the newly elected president.
And you are the director of the Eurogroup for Animal Welfare, which is a secretariat to the Intergroup.
Indeed, indeed.
And you have a lot of members behind of you. Among those are?
For example, World Animal Protection sitting next to me. Among other 48 members, national and international animal advocacy organization, Eurogroup brings together.
So your strength is that you have the national aspects of animal welfare behind you, so to speak.
Absolutely, and the animal welfare is working on the ground, also representing all those citizens who care for animals, because we do know that EU citizens care for animals, and it's now the opportunity also for the new president and the Intergroup board to represent those citizens and the animals, of course.
And you're based in Brussels, and thereby you are close to the man sitting next to you also in your work, because you are dealing with the European side of, it was just mentioned, World Association for Animal Welfare.
That's correct.
Who are you?
My name is Ruud Tombrock, and I've been the Europe Director for World Animal Protection since about a year.
In the European part?
In the European part, and for the people who do not know World Animal Protection, we used to be called WSPA, but we recently changed our name.
Maybe it's a good idea always to have a good name to be pronounced. And that's your advantage as well. Your name is easy to pronounce.
Mine is an Italian name, is Andrea Gavinelli, and I'm head of the Animal Welfare Unit at the European Commission.
That is your job, yes?
Yes.
Is it easy to deal with animal welfare from the side of the Commission, or don't people care?
It's easy is a very sophisticated question to say it. It's a learning experience. It's very interesting because of the continuous evolution of this issue that is really getting more and more at the heart of the people.
There's a demand of consumers to have more animal welfare behind the products they find at the desk.
It's even more than consumer, it's really citizens, in my opinion. What we see, and that's why I call it a learning experience. It is now, as we saw this morning, a priority when you talk about your animals, even when they are just your dog, or when you are thinking about a question of civilization. Is an important evolution for the thinking of the Commission. That's why it's not so easy to adapt. We started with some agricultural policies, and now it's getting something different.
But the Commission has the, you could call it, disadvantage that you are not only taking care of animal welfare. Could you say in how much percentage of the work of the Commission is dealing with animal welfare? Is it that easy to put?
No, it's not easy to get a percentage of the work done in the general way. When we talk about animal protection in general in the Commission, is fragmented in different streams, from in fact the bilateral trade agreements to experimental animals and what you talk about agricultural policies. Each colleague is doing his job, but these are different streams, so it's difficult to say how much percentage of the work is really.
But are you cooperating with other DGs? Director Generals in the work of animal welfare? I mean, for instance, when it comes to the animals at the farm stock area?
Well, the cooperation is very important. Actually, is the essence of any decision for the Commission. As I said, it's a learning experience, so we have to add elements every time we discuss and more new perspectives. I have a really possibility to say that I see that we are really speeding up even more the need of cooperation because of the more and more issues that are coming into the spectrum of discussion. And you need training and information even in officials.
Do you approach from the side of your organization, do you approach the Commission, or in which way are you working in the field?
Whatever way is best to achieve our goals. So we're not very selective in that. If the Council is the appropriate body, then we'll go to the Council. If the parliamentarians can do it, then we'll go there. But I think it's important to emphasize that to really change something in the world on animal welfare, and to what I heard this morning was a lot of talk about mainstreaming animal welfare, so connecting animal welfare to the big societal challenges. like, for example, food safety, like, for example, resistance to antibiotics, like, for example, rabies in some countries. If you want to make that connection, then it's not enough to just focus on one group. You have to change the public opinion, so you have to mobilize people. You have to do something with the corporate sector, with companies, because we recently signed an agreement with Nestlé, the biggest food producer in the world. And if just moving that company an inch has a great impact. And then, of course, lobby and advocacy work is part of that mix too. So, and if the European Parliament can do things and drive things, of course we're there.
When you are trying to, should we call it, lobby the Commission, is it done via direct contacts, or is it done via press releases, or in which way are you working?
We are working very closely with all stakeholders, also within the European Union, the Commission, the Parliament, the Member States. And in times of legislative inertia and or Euroscepticism, it's very important to show, as Ruud already mentioned, how to connect the interests of animal welfare to other important EU values. Because we believe that animal welfare is not a standalone issue. It's closely connected to other values as a sustainable economy, but also health, well-being. So that's really our challenge, also to convince that animal welfare is not a luxury for times we have resolved the economic crisis or the unemployment. A human story is an animal story, and I think that our everyday experience and the experience of our 48 members show that. And it's our task as Eurogroup for Animals to show that to the Commission, to the Parliament and to the Council, and make the stories of our members count.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something, and that the work of Eurogroup is very important for us, and Madam Director, many thanks for that, because we can count for the Eurogroup. For example, when we have any amendments for the legislation, I was a reporter, the legislation about the animal protection at the time of killing. There is this regulation to reduce the suffering of animals in slaughterhouses. It was very important to give professional advice, how amendments, how to propose, and always we have support from the Eurogroup.
You're coming to a very sensitive issue here. One thing is to have something written, declaration or even directive or whatever. Yeah. Something else is to have it put into action out there, to have it controlled, that is really followed up by the national states and so on.
Now you're talking about implementation and enforcement.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's a very.
You're right. This is the very serious problem. We have a lot of regulations, a lot of directives, but the implementation is not always correct.
But the first,
like animal transport. I know this situation very well, because I was a reporter. This report, good directive, but implementation not full. Different in between countries, but better.
For the first time, we have a treaty, an EU treaty, stating that animals are to be respected as sensitive species.
Yeah.
But we have a problem into implementing that in daily life. What will you do as the president of the Intergroup?
Always in each act which is about this, animals, like animals health strategy, animal transport, etc., I always remember to put this sentence that animals are sentient beings, that the correct treatment of animals is a challenge of our humanity in the 21st century. We remember what Mahatma Gandhi said, that the level of civilization and its moral progress can be judged how its animals are treated. It's very important. We should remember all time about that. But it's very important too to find any arguments not only from humanitarian point of view, but from economic point of view too. I give you example: animal transport, long transport. 3 days, sometimes 70 hours, is costly. This is the cost which is paid from one side by the farmers who received less money for their animals, and from other side for the consumers. And reducing the maximum time of transport, we reduce cost of the transport too. It's very important to find the arguments from...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about win-win situations.
May I ask you, from the side of the Commission, do we have to have directives on everything concerning animal welfare? Or do you believe in raising understanding?
We have been discussing this in the strategy that was adopted years ago, and in fact, clear-cut, we concluded that we have to have even more simplification than more rules today. The simplification passes in any case through a scientific process, in which doesn't mean that you have less welfare. It means to have instruments in the legislation that make the enforcement easier to be done. And this is not only by, of course, education and training. These are also a very important component, but also through new means to assess the welfare. And this is a know-how and an investment that we have promoted with these famous welfare indicators that are a way to assess the quality of a life of an animal directly on the animal, that has been developed in Europe thanks to research, and have been already taken up by not only companies, because in fact, just quoting one before, it is in fact a certification system based on welfare indicators, but also by even countries that are main trader, like Brazil, for example. It's clear that our legislation is, for the moment, based on a concept that is, some of the legislation at least, prior to this innovation we had in science. So, of course, if we need a reform, that was in the strategy, we should look into the possibility to evolve the current legislation.
The former commissioner in charge of animal welfare, Markus Kyprianou, introduced a so-called action plan for animal welfare lasting 5 years. Am I too harsh if I say there was no real outcome of that action plan? And don't we need another one?
No, actually, I think instead that this was an incredible step as an official, because I saw it was an important political decision to have an holistic approach to this area of animal protection for the first time in the European Commission. Because, as I said before, the streams of work are still very fragmented. There is coordination, but this is a learning process. The action plan created even a strategy afterwards. So I think it is, on the short term, you could think it was not conclusive. But with such a revolution, on the long term, we are still working on the basis of that action plan, honestly.
I'm often, on especially Facebook, asked how comes that the EU is sending a lot of money to help Spanish farmers to raise bulls for bullfight, and they are not doing anything when it comes to the brutal killing of dogs in Romania. How could you foresee that the Commission could go in and find a better way to explain what's all about when we're talking about animal welfare?
It's quite a complex situation in the sense that
I expected you would say it.
About the support of farming bulls for corrida, there is no direct means for supporting it, in the sense the direct support does not exist for this purpose. the issue is about...
I know that, but people out there don't know. So aren't you having a lack of information, or?
No, that's in fact the information gap is also important. No, this is clear that we have a priority in informing the citizens, in particular in an area where, because the mandate of the Commission, as I said, was quite strict, targeting especially animals that are producing food, and very little investment was made in any other area in terms of communication in the time being. This gap has to be really, we can say, solved. Is surely one of the priorities that we have highlighted also to the future of our Commission work, and an inheritage for the next Commissioner, that this area of education and information is really prioritized.
How can you help the Commission by achieving that kind of goals they indicate here?
Yeah, I think we can do several things. First of all, we are a very science-based organization, so we have a lot of knowledge with experts that work in our head office in London. Next to that, we have gained experience working in the field over decades now. So, for example, a very concrete example that is playing now is the example of the stray dog situation in some of the Eastern European countries in particular, not only, where well, a population or a government at a certain point sees that they have a problem with a growing population of stray dogs that is not under control. The solution that they think of is, well, we have to catch the dogs and we have to kill them. What we say, and what we have proved actually in several countries in the world, is that that is not a solution, because you can never capture all stray dogs. There will always be stray dogs left, and they will breed and they will get their puppies, and within a couple of years, plenty of examples of that, within a couple of years you will have the same problem again.
You have been in Romania. Yeah. You saw what happened in Romania. What is the solution? Is it actually to stop breeding? Is that possible? It has become an enormous source for income for certain people to kill dogs and thereby to breed, to have dogs to kill, and so on, so on.
Now we have only the one instrument is moral pressure. We don't have any legal instruments in European law, because
doesn't the Parliament has power?
Has no power, because the stray dogs is not covered by the European legislation, and we want to change this. And first of all, we want to make a general review all instruments which we can use, maybe from the other side, like to improve the condition of life in regions, like there is this title to spend the money. For condition of life, many people, is very important not to see these horrible pictures on the street, like stray dogs are treated, like in Romania, for example. And maybe it would be possible to use money for that, to propose for the Romanian authority and other countries' authority, when the problem exists, that we have, you can use European money for proper way to solve this problem. I agree with Mr. So your name, my name is difficult.
Mine is too. Strange Dutch name.
Okay, this is very important. Adoption, sterilization. This is long activity, but effective. Under EU control, it would be good to have possibility to propose that. Now we don't have this possibility.
But you made a very fascinating proposal. You said, don't go to Romania as a tourist as long as these kind of killing. Right. It's not the question of that they are killed, it's the way they are killed.
Yeah, it is unpleasant for me to say it, but now I have to repeat it, that Romania now is not a good country for the tourism, because the treatment of stray dogs is very bad. There is some signs that maybe there is any more understanding on some Romanian officials. I get information that officially the killing on the streets was stopped in Bucharest, for example. There is a little progress, but there is no solution. I fully agree that it is not solution. I think that probably it is the kind of business. This is because it is subsidized by the national budget, and there are groups of interest who are interested to continue this procedure, continue to catch, to kill, to reproduce, to catch and kill. This is the reason, and we should to stop, because it is compromission of the whole European Union that we have this procedure inside the Union. It should be not.
It would be so wonderful if Romania would set the right example on this. Because it's not only Romania we've been focusing on that, but it's the surrounding countries that have stray dog problems as well. And for example, we know that Bosnia is working on a similar law as in Romania. So they're all looking at each other, and so if one of these countries could set the right example with some help from the EU, that would be so wonderful.
Yeah, because that is it's possible in the European Union, that is possible in the outside Union. That is the way of thinking. Never should be bad example from the European Union countries. We should give only good example for
I think we have heard commitments, at least from those 4 persons around this table, to do something about animal welfare. Around in Europe there are several people trying to do something, and I just want to make some kind of advertising, you could call it, for a congress in Vienna between the 8th and the 12th of October. Verein gegen Tierfabriken, Association Against Animal Factories. A fascinating program. You can go in to VTG, it must be Verein gegen VGT, yes, .at for Austria, and see a fascinating program. And I could recommend everyone to go to Vienna. I will do it myself, and I'll report from there, as I will come back after every session here in Strasbourg, telling about the improvement of animal welfare and check out what has been done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.